Welcome to Favorite Tip Friday. This is a series where I reach out to contributors from all over the author community and I get their top tips on the subject of the week. This week, we're talking about getting prepared for Q4. So let's move on to the contributors.
I've got 3 tips for you to prepare for Q4. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Tip number 1, if you're running ads, make sure you set a budget and stick to it. Tip number 2, get your seasonal niches up before Q4 begins. Tip number 3, be psychologically prepared for 0 sales on the 25th and maybe the 26th of December. That's Christmas time. There's no way I can sign off without giving you a bonus tip. And this is the tip. If you focus on evergreen niches, you might make sales way beyond Q4. All that's left to say is good luck, enjoy the ride, and I hope Q4 is massively successful for you. And Keith, thank you for having me on your channel. It's been a great honor.
All right, tips for preparing for Q4. Don't. No, don't listen to that. Quarter 4 is the last 3 months of the year, and it is probably the most important time of the year for all self-publishers, and actually to a certain extent, the first month, of course, being January of quarter 1, because inevitably those of us that are selling on Amazon, people get gift cards, and they're going to spend those gift cards come January to purchase more books. So when it comes to tips for preparing for Q4, very simple one here is know what you're going to be doing into Q4. I would highly recommend do not launch a book in Q4. It is very tough, especially if you get into, say, November and December. People are tending to kind of just shut off and they're automatically thinking about, okay, what am I going to be buying for X, Y, and Z? And sure, maybe they're buying for their daughter or their brother or their uncle, and your book might be of interest to them. But I always find that if you have the opportunity to spend the time in Q4 marketing an already published, manuscript versus launching that inside there. So you can never be over prepared for Q4. And I would say go into a marketing strategy between newsletter swaps, doing free and premium book promotion services, doing some type of outreach, getting out, doing guest blog posts, video interviews, podcast interviews, so on and so forth.
Hi, Keith. Thanks for having me back on the channel. I'm really excited to share my tip today for how you can prepare to have the best Q4 end of the year for your author business. Now, this isn't the time to panic and try to do everything that you originally planned to do on January 1. Most of us are more ambitious and we usually can't do everything that we originally planned. And I think that's good because it keeps us motivated to do more. But to close out the year, take a look at your outstanding projects and pick maybe 1 or 2 that you know you can 100% finish and go all in on those. You'll end the year with a win and you'll have a really good idea of what won't get done so you know what can happen in Q1 for next year. So definitely take some time and really plan out what you're going to attack and what's going to be done by the time the ball drops on New Year's Eve.
My tip for preparing for Q4 is to check out your analytics and see what has sold for you in the past. Go back, whether it's in KDP or Book Report if you have that, and go back and check and see what has actually sold. Once you know what has sold for you in the past, double down on those genres, niches, or types of books. Now, if this is your first Q4, first of all, let me tell you, relax. Yes, it can get exciting, but don't get overwhelmed because you know what? There'll be another Q4 next year. So don't overwhelm yourself with trying to make it the best ever. Just do little things. One thing you can do is you can go on Google and you can check out Google Trends and do a search based on the months of October, November, and December of last year and see what trends were around then. What were people searching for? That'll give you a good idea as to what might sell this year. Again, that's Google as opposed to Amazon, but Google Trends is a really good way to get ideas for what will sell this year in Q4.
Hello, I'm Kevin McGuire. Keith asked me for a few tips and thoughts about self-publishing, and here's one of them. Tips to prepare for Q4. First tip, start now. Hopefully, you started a few months ago. I started in July, and I know another who started in June. Creating for Christmas themes is always a good idea, but don't stop there. If that's all you do, you're going to miss out on a lot of sales. This is the time to push out a lot of hobby-related books. When people buy gifts, they aren't thinking Christmas-themed gifts. They're thinking, what does my mom like? Or, My son is into bikes and video games. I'll look for something there. Bike logbook, trails I've biked, cities I've biked to, etc. Video game logbook, video game reviews, cheat codes. That's my point. Get into hobbies and get those sales.
What are my tips for preparing for the fourth quarter? Well, the fourth quarter is one of my favorite times of the year because that's when things start to slow down. You have this amazing time where you can be introspective, you can look at your progress, and you can say, hey, how did I do with my business this year? Hey, how did I do with my goals? Hey, where are my book sales at? Hey, where do I want to be a year from now? And this is my tip. I like to do my quarterly planning for the next year in October. And I take the entire month to do it. And the reason I like October is because very little happens in October other than Halloween. And so I don't feel rushed and I don't miss it. Because if I do it in November, I got Thanksgiving, I got the holidays, and I'm going to wake up and it's going to be November 30th. And I'm going to say, oh crap, I didn't do my planning for next year. And if I don't do it in November, I'm going to wake up on December 30th and be like, oh crap, I didn't do my planning for next year. And so everything I do just seems to be haphazard. So when I take the entire month of October to do it, I can do it and I can do it right. And I can be introspective about how I did this year, what my goals were and how I fell short and how I succeeded in some of those. And then how I can think about the next year and even the next decade. Because people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And so I like to also be thinking a decade out, even if the stuff that I plan or think about, I'm going to laugh at it 9 years from now, which is totally possible. I like to keep a longer tail perspective about what I'm doing. And October is an amazing month to do that. So happy next year planning whenever you decide to do that, and take care.
I want to say a huge thank you to all my contributors this week. And if you liked the tips that you got, check out the links to their channels down in the description below. And make sure that you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you can get more videos just like this next time. Now, before you go away, check out that video right there that YouTube says is perfect for you. I'll catch you in that video. And remember to write right.